This is you. Your hands are raw, the skin over your knuckles cracked and weeping from the acrid bite of industrial sumi ink and the freezing metal of the counting table. You are in the belly of a high-security office in the Shinjuku skyscraper district, but the view is blocked by opaque heavy curtains that smell of stale cigarettes, cheap floor wax, and underlying dread. The suffocating silence is broken only by the raspy click-clack of your wooden soroban abacus, a sound that feels like tinfoil grinding on a raw nerve as you calculate the night's haul. Your task is a grueling, relentless death march. You are reconciling the black books of the Yamaguchi-gumi's latest bust-out operation, a systematic looting of a local construction conglomerate. The banknotes piled before you are filthy. Some are soaked in blood that has dried into a sticky, dark lacquer, a sickening squelch clinging to your fingertips, making the paper feel like cold reptile skin. You wipe the sweat from your brow, leaving a crimson smear across your forehead. You find a glaring discrepancy in the ledger, a missing 50 million yen. Your heart begins pounding violently against your ribs, a jaw tightness setting in as the adrenaline surges through your veins. The dark, hidden secret isn't that a low-level thug is skimming from the top. It's that you are the one who left the trail. You are cooking the books to erase human lives from the ledger, secretly funneling money to the starving widows of the men this very syndicate has already liquidated. And now, the towering psychokomon, the senior advisor, is standing right behind you, his breath smelling of bitter green tea and acrid smoke. Let us rewind the clock and find out what shattered your reality. 7 years ago, you were a highly successful certified public accountant at a prestigious firm in the glittering Ginza district, a man who believed that consistency and ethical conduct were the absolute pillars of a successful life. You wore tailored suits, provided a comfortable home for your younger brother, and believed the world operated on rules and fairness. Then came the catastrophic tragedy. You were the lead auditor for a major tech subsidiary, and you were handed the challenge, a direct, unyielding order from the conglomerate's president to massage the revenues to hide a massive $1.2 billion loss from a failed investment. It was systemic corruption at its finest. You flatly refused to cook the books, naively believing that the system would protect a straight shooter. But the system was a ruthless, unforgiving monster, an amalgam of corporate greed and political gridlock. When the financial watchdogs closed in, the president performed a ritual public apology, bowing deeply before the cameras while his board members fired a convenient scapegoat. You. You were maliciously charged with fraudulent financial reporting. Your hard-earned assets were completely liquidated in a civil suit, and your name was named and shamed in the press. Stripped of your license and your dignity, you were left with absolutely nothing, cast out into the freezing cold. You hit rock bottom in the narrow, cluttered alleys of Kabukicho and Golden Gai, where the sunlight only creeps in through the cracks and the pungent smell of piss alley becomes your constant, nauseating companion. Stripped of your former glory, you are forced into the darkest, most punishing underbelly of Tokyo society to survive. You move into a shabby, claustrophobic capsule hotel. Your neighbors a desperate mix of marginalized groups, broken gamblers, and the homeless who have also fallen through the cracks of the Japanese dream. Hunger gnaws at your stomach like a feral dog. Desperation forces your hand. You realize that the corporate elite and the street-level gangsters speak the exact same language: money. To survive, you must adopt a new, ruthless persona. You become the abacus of the underworld. You start offering your elite mathematical skills to low-level loan sharks, underground gambling dens, and violent extortionists looking to manage their bad debt. You suppress your empathy. You learn to view the world through a lens of situational ethics, compromising your morals for a bowl of cheap ramen and a safe corner to sleep in. Your hands, once soft from corporate office life, become rugged and weathered, permanently stained by the gritty dirt of the streets and the pungent ink of the underground ledgers. You become entirely numb to the raucous laughter of the brothels, your humanity bleeding cash as you transform into a specialist in dirty money. Your crucible arrives on a suffocatingly humid night, deep inside a dark, musty basement beneath a roaring pachinko parlor. You are violently dragged into the room by two massive enforcers. The syndicate's Wakagashira, the captain, a terrifying man with dead, cold eyes and a commanding voice, throws a blood-soaked, chaotic ledger onto the metal desk in front of you. Their previous accountant had been brutally liquidated for failing a forensic audit, and the syndicate desperately needs a new financial engineer to uncook their sprawling real estate holdings before an imminent dawn police raid. This is a high-stakes, violent test of your worth. They give you exactly 30 minutes to find a material weakness in their massive money laundering circuit, a maze of front-driving ranges and fake art sales. A massive thug stands directly over you, the bone-crushing pressure of his hand digging into your shoulder, pressing the cold, sharp steel of a machete against your sweating throat. A single mistake means your head rolls. You do not panic. You tap into a dark, focused rage. You use your accurate logical reasoning to map the chain of custody of the illicit funds through a labyrinth of shell LLCs. Your fingers fly across the keys. You don't just find the accounting error, you completely restructure their assets, saving the boss from total seizure. Proving your worth, the machete is lowered. You are handed a bulletproof portfolio to manage, feeling the sick adrenaline surge of being utterly indispensable. You are dragged deeper into the darkness, rising rapidly to become the apex financial predator of the Gumi. You are no longer just a surviving stray. You are the vital architect of their empire. You design the vicious bust-out schemes, forcing honest, terrified businessmen into unholy partnerships before ruthlessly looting their companies of all assets. You oversee the spatial displacement of the weak, utilizing your financial savvy to forcefully evict helpless tenants and hygienize neighborhoods for the syndicate's luxury real estate flips. To survive the sheer horror of your actions, you begin to aggressively gaslight yourself. You rationalize the bloodbaths of market losses and physical purges as a twisted form of social justice, finding the misbehavior of a corrupt world. You adopt a system of moral accounting where human lives are merely debits and credits. You become callous and vicious, your killer instinct honed to a razor's edge in the high-stakes war rooms of the syndicate. You view every human life as a mere liability to be amortized, or a toxic asset to be brutally liquidated. You build a sprawling, impenetrable empire of front companies in construction and logistics, drowning in blood money. All the while, your own internal moral account plummets violently toward total insolvency. You are a king in the shadows, but your humanity is entirely dead. The ultimate choice arrives with the subtlety of a car crash. The towering Oyabun, the patriarch of the family, summons you to his opulent, smoke-filled penthouse. He orders the hostile takeover and immediate liquidation of a mid-sized logistics firm. You look down at the chart of accounts, and your blood turns to absolute ice. You see your own bloodline. Your younger brother, the one you swore to protect as the firm's chief controller. He has stubbornly refused to drink the Kool-Aid of the syndicate's demand for cooperation. The boss glares at you. He demands absolute giri, the self-sacrificing, unwavering devotion you owe him for lifting you from the gutters. He hands you a pistol and orders you to close the account permanently. If you refuse, your brother will be butchered. A massive, life-or-death confrontation erupts within your soul. Your ninja, your desperate human feeling and compassion, screams through the suffocating silence of the office. You are backed into a corner, forced to choose between the remaining, battered shred of your humanity and the dark, violent empire you serve. You do not reach for the gun. You reach for your true arsenal, your digital keys. With lightning speed, you rebel against the corrupt authority figure. You pull out your encrypted terminal and trigger an absolute market carnage. In a matter of seconds, you transfer the syndicate's billions from their untouchable Swiss bank accounts into a public whistleblower escrow. You aggressively slash their fees and choke off their lifeblood cash flow, effectively closing the books on the Gumi. The boss roars in blind fury, lunging at you with murderous intent. You hurl the heavy metal soroban directly into his face, shattering his nose as the wailing sirens of the police finally echo in the streets below. moving in perfect synchronization to arrest the crippled patriarch. The explosive climax resolves, but the price of your integrity is utterly devastating. The boss is arrested, his vast criminal empire aggressively amortized and dismantled by the state. Your brother's firm is saved, but the damage is done. When you finally see him, he does not look at you with gratitude. He recoils in pure, paralyzing terror, seeing only the ruthless, blood-soaked monster you had to become to save him. You have achieved your ultimate goal of redemption, but you have ironically lost your freedom and the love of the only person you fought to protect. Worse still, the Underworld demands a final physical toll. To satisfy the unyielding Jingi code and pay for your betrayal, you are cornered by the syndicate's remnants and forced to perform yubitsumo. But because you were the architect of their financial ruin, they do not just take your pinky finger. They force your hands onto a wooden block and bring down a heavy steel cleaver, violently severing the tips of your thumbs and index fingers, the exact fine digits required to flick the beads of an abacus or hold a pen. You stand alone in the freezing dark rain of Tokyo, staring down at your misshapen, bleeding hands. You are a brilliant mathematical savant who can never calculate again. You are a forensic specialist who can no longer record a single journal entry. You watch your own crimson blood mix with the grime of the street, haunted by a single lingering thought: if the moral books are finally balanced, why does the net income of your life feel like a total loss?